A woman from Hampshire says there needs to be more support for young people when they leave the care system. Sophie Hannington was looked after by foster parents as a teenager. Currently, children must leave local authority care by their 18th birthday, but they're still given support until they're 21 and up to the age of 25 if they're in education or training. But a number struggle to cope with the transition to adulthood and end up unemployed, in trouble with the law or with health problems. In the last in our series on the care system, Matt Treacy has been hearing Sophie's perspective and met a charity working to help bridge the transition into independent adulthood.
My parents didn't have it in them to be a parent, I guess. It was actually through a neighbour who noticed the neglect. We went in and out from a young age, and it was when I turned 12 years old, me and my sister put ourselves into care.
After spending her teenage years in care, Sophie found it hard to get help once she turned 18.
I wasn't given the right tools to help myself. I was dealing with a lot of emotional issues. I'm on a housing list, 5 years, no priority. I'm just a single female sofa surfing, not a child in care that has no parents in a strange place that she's never been before. If you were to go around and ask every child in care who's leaving care, I think the majority would say they feel that they're lacking support, that they don't know where they're going. There's a black hole, it's just, you just fall through it.
The government says it's working to give children in care the support they need, including extra funding for foster care places after their 18th birthday. But for those with the highest needs in residential care, the change can be dramatic.
If you could imagine not only moving home, but moving city, changing job, changing career, leaving your partner all at the same time. You know, that sort of level of change in someone's life is probably akin to what many young people go through when they turn 18.
Southampton charity Fairways is working on a pilot project for the government where big life changes are spread out and planned in advance.
I've seen many cases where weeks before their 18th birthday, the young people still don't know where they're going to be moving to.
I feel let down, massively feel let down, especially like when you've had to go through all that on your own and still continue to. Yeah, definitely.
Aged 21, things changed quickly. She hit what she called rock bottom, culminating in an attempt to take her own life. In the aftermath, she did get help, and at the same time, a job offer.
They almost didn't take me on because I was homeless and classed unstable, and I had to, I'm not unstable, I'm just homeless. But it was that moment that that employer said, I'm still going to take you on regardless. My life could have been a hell of a lot different.
Sophie's just qualified as an accountant.
Yeah, I've had a bad past, but look how much it's driven me, and look how much I'm doing now because of my bad past. Those adversities can be your diversity, and that's it. I can take off. I know now I can do anything I want to do.
Wish Sophie all the best for the future. And there are around 70,000 children in care, and there's an independent official who's there to be their champion. Anne Longfield is the Children's Commissioner, and I spoke to her earlier. I started by asking whether it's right for children to be moved into foster care miles from home and changing schools. Cases like Marissa.
Didn't know anyone, didn't want to know anyone, and wanted to go back home, but wasn't allowed.
Well, the argument will be for some that they should move away from their environment and the proximity to those that might not have positive influence over them. So that is the kind of starting point for some. But the vast majority that are moved around will find often that, you know, they will tell me that it can be difficult. Sometimes children will ring our helpline and say that they've been moved without knowing why. And certainly they will be losing contact with family members, extended family members, which can be a very supportive influence, and sometimes move away from their schools and the like. So any kind of instability like that can be worrying for children. Sometimes it can be for good reason. Sometimes it's because that's what's available. And my concern is that it must always be in the best interests of children. And children clearly sometimes say that that isn't so.
And then let's just talk about what happens when a child who is looked after, as you put it, is then 18. And we heard from Sophie tonight, often wanting emotional support. I mean, the system means that some children are just abandoned at adulthood. That must worry you.
It does. It's a huge concern if that does happen. And children will say to me sometimes they feel as though they're going from a cliff edge. They have intense levels of activity from professionals before they're 18. And when they get to 18, then suddenly they're by themselves. Now, of course, that's not the intention. The intention is that they have the help of personal advisors, that they have a lot of kind of training and development before that to get them ready, support to get them ready. But also there's a new approach in many areas where they're actually able to stay close to their foster family or their children's home. Now that's what children say they want to see. They don't want suddenly to have no one there. They want to have that level of support and that network there for them to fall back on, but then they want to start to get independent at their own rate.
One of the worrying things just recently here in the South is that Ofsted has rated, children's services in a number of councils as inadequate. Do you think that they're using the funding issue perhaps as an excuse, or is it poor practice? How do you see that?
There is no doubt that councils have less money and reduced budgets, but there can be no excuse either for anything which is not the best practice for children who are in care. And from our own helpline, I know we get the most inquiries from children and requests for help from those councils where they're deemed to be inadequate by Ofsted.
You're the Children's Commissioner, you call yourself the sort of eyes and ears for children. Do you think the government listens to you though?
Well, they do, and there's influence in terms of policy, but also influence in terms of the changes that need to come from children's own stories. I'm absolutely relentless in putting these messages forward and making the case for more support. And for me, more support for children in care and for those that actually have vulnerabilities but aren't in care is around greater investment early on, and greater help for families to be able to give their children the support that we'd all want to see.
Anne Longfield, good to talk to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.